In the coastal lowlands of South Sulawesi, hidden from the main roads and hidden from most maps, something enormous is moving. Not trucks, not machines, water. Millions of gallons of salt water pumped continuously into a grid of man-made ponds so vast that from the air it looks like a blue microchip embedded in green jungle. This is not a traditional fishery. This is industrial aquaculture at a scale most people have never imagined. 120 ponds, spread across nearly 500 acres of reclaimed coastline. Each pond is a contained universe holding anywhere from 50,000 to 150,000 live shrimp at any given moment. And every single day, the water in these ponds is turned over, filtered, aerated, and monitored by a team of technicians who treat this living inventory like a high-stakes financial market. Because in many ways, that is exactly what this is. The species here is Pacific whiteleg shrimp, known scientifically as Litterpenius vannamei, a creature that grows from a microscopic post-larva to a harvest-ready adult in just 90 days. 90 days from invisible to dinner plate. That speed is the entire economic engine of this farm. But speed alone is not enough. The real engineering is in the systems that keep 90 million shrimp alive and growing simultaneously. Let us walk the edge of pond number 47 on a calm morning. The air smells of salt and algae. The surface of the water is constantly broken by spinning metal wheels, paddle wheel aerators. Each one is 3 meters wide and spins at 34 revolutions per minute, throwing water into the air like a horizontal fountain. These aerators do two things. First, they dissolve oxygen into the water at a rate that natural evaporation could never achieve. Second, they create a circular current that pushes waste toward the center drain, where it is pulled out and channeled to a settling lagoon. This is not primitive farming. This is hydraulic engineering with biological inputs. Under the surface, the shrimp are feeding. Automatic feeders mounted on rails travel the length of each pond, distributing a precisely measured pellet ration every 2 hours. The feed formula changes with the age of the shrimp. Higher protein for the first 30 days. More carbohydrates for the final fattening stage. The farm goes through 40 tons of feed every week, delivered by flatbed trucks that reverse up to the central feed silo before dawn, so the noise does not disturb the daily feeding cycle. Now, look closer at the pond walls. They are not dirt. They are lined with high-density polyethylene, a black plastic membrane that prevents disease from seeping in from the surrounding soil. Between ponds, there are no shared water channels. Each pond has its own intake pipe, its own drainage valve, and its own biosecurity protocol. Workers wear boots that are dipped in disinfectant before they walk between pond clusters. This is not paranoia. In the 1990s, viral diseases collapsed shrimp farming across Southeast Asia. Entire regions lost everything. The farms that survived learned one lesson above all others. You do not farm shrimp, you farm water. Healthy water makes healthy shrimp, and healthy water is engineered, not found. By day 60, the shrimp are approximately 15 grams each. They are dense in the ponds, so dense that during feeding, the water surface looks like it is boiling. The farm's sonar systems scan the pond bottoms daily, creating a 3-dimensional map of shrimp density. The technicians are looking for hotspots where growth is uneven. When they find one, they adjust the feeder pattern or increase aeration. Nothing is left to chance. And then comes day 85. The pre-harvest checklist begins. 24 hours before harvest, feeding stops. The shrimp empty their digestive tracts naturally, which improves meat quality and reduces waste during processing. The drain valves are checked, the harvest pump is tested, and the ice factory adjacent to the main pond complex starts making extra inventory. 20 tons of flake ice. Enough to drop the temperature of 50,000 kilograms of live shrimp from 28 degrees Celsius to 4 degrees Celsius in under 15 minutes. Harvest morning. The sky is still purple. A team of 12 workers assembles at pond number 82. This is the designated pond for today. 120,000 shrimp, approximately 8,000 kilograms of live weight. The harvest supervisor gives a hand signal, and then the first drain valve opens. The water does not just leave, it erupts. A 36-inch pipe sucks water and shrimp together into a collection basin. The sound is a deep hydraulic roar, mixed with the percussive rattle of thousands of shrimp shells colliding against the pipe walls. Within 60 seconds, the basin is a living, churning mass of grey-pink bodies. This is the moment that documentary filmmakers dream about. A torrent of marine life poured from pond to harvest tank like a liquid protein avalanche. The pump system moves the shrimp from the basin into a flume channel, a narrow, fast-moving water slide that carries them directly into the processing hall. The channel is refrigerated. The water temperature drops rapidly. The shrimp enter the first stage of the factory, already beginning to slow down. They are not dead, they are stunned. The difference is crucial because dead shrimp degrade fast. Stunned shrimp stay perfect. Now the conveyor system takes over. A wide, ribbed rubber belt lifts the shrimp out of the water and carries them under a series of high-pressure spray bars. Mud, algae, loose shells. All of it is blasted away in 3 seconds. The water from these spray bars is recycled through a filtration system that removes solids and returns clean water to the pond intake. Nothing is wasted. Not even the wash water. After washing, the shrimp enter the grading machine, a rotating drum with graduated holes. Small shrimp fall through the smallest holes. Medium shrimp fall through the next size. Large shrimp ride all the way to the end of the drum. 3 streams, 3 grades, 3 different price points on the international market. The grading machine processes 3,000 kilograms per hour, and it never stops. Once the harvest begins, the entire pond must be emptied within 90 minutes. The factory runs at full speed until the last shrimp passes the last grader. Next is the ice slurry tunnel, a long stainless steel trough filled with a mixture of flake ice and seawater at exactly -1 degree Celsius. The shrimp tumble through this slurry for 45 seconds. Their core temperature drops to 4 degrees. This is the precise temperature that stops enzymatic decay without freezing the meat. From here, the shrimp are sorted by hand, not because machines cannot do it, but because human eyes are still better at spotting the occasional damaged shell or color irregularity. Workers stand on both sides of a slow-moving inspection belt. Each worker inspects approximately 2,000 shrimp per hour. They work in 2-hour shifts before rotating to a different station. Fatigue is the enemy of quality. For the shrimp destined to become peeled and deveined product, the next stop is the cooking line. A continuous belt carries the shrimp through a steam tunnel at exactly 98 degrees Celsius for 70 seconds. The flesh turns from translucent grey to opaque white-orange. The protein denatures perfectly, not overcooked, not undercooked. Then they enter the spiral freezer, a vertical conveyor system that stacks 60 levels of freezing belts inside a cylindrical tower. The air temperature inside the spiral freezer is -40 degrees Celsius. The shrimp spend 18 minutes inside this tower. When they emerge, they are rock-hard, frozen solid. Individual shrimp do not stick together because the freezer is designed with a vibrating discharge that keeps them separate. This is called individually quick frozen, IQF, the gold standard for export shrimp. Now watch the glazing tunnel. The frozen shrimp pass under a fine mist of fresh water at -2 degrees. That water freezes instantly onto the shrimp, forming a thin, transparent ice layer. That layer serves one purpose. It prevents freezer burn during the 6 to 8 weeks that these shrimp will spend in ocean shipping containers. The glaze adds approximately 8% to the final weight. That is not cheating. That is preservation science accepted by every major importer in the United States, Europe, and Japan. The final packaging line is almost silent compared to the rest of the factory. Vacuum sealers hiss. Cardboard erectors thump. Inkjet printers click as they stamp production dates and batch codes onto each carton. The cartons are stacked onto wooden pallets. 50 cartons per pallet, 24 pallets per shipping container, 2 containers per day during peak season. The destination printed on each carton is either Los Angeles, Rotterdam, or Yokohama, the same 3 ports that have received Indonesian shrimp for 30 years. Behind the packaging line, a small door leads to the quality control laboratory. Inside, a technician is dissecting a random sample from today's harvest. She checks for texture, for color, for the absence of antibiotics or heavy metals. Every single batch is tested before it leaves the farm. The lab is certified by the Global Aquaculture Alliance. The results are uploaded to a blockchain tracking system that importers can access instantly. Traceability is no longer a marketing feature. It is a requirement. Let us step back outside. The sun is high now. Pond number 82 is empty. Its black liner is exposed, drying in the heat. Within 48 hours, the pond will be refilled, sterilized with a mild chlorine solution, re-inoculated with beneficial bacteria, and restocked with post-larvae from the farm's own hatchery 40 kilometers down the coast. 6 harvests per year, every pond, every cycle, 120 ponds. That is 720 harvest events annually. each one producing between 6 and 10,000 kilograms of frozen shrimp. But numbers only tell part of the story. The real story is how invisible this entire operation is to the outside world. Drive past this farm on the coastal road, and you see a concrete wall, a gate, and a guardhouse. You do not see the aerators. You do not hear the harvest pump. You do not smell the feed. The industry has learned to be quiet, not because it is hiding anything, but because the scale is so large that if people truly understood it, they might be overwhelmed. Consider this. The average person eats approximately 4 kilograms of shrimp per year, mostly during holidays and summer barbecues. That means one average person's annual shrimp consumption comes approximately 80 individual shrimp. 80 shrimp per year. Now look at this farm again. 120 ponds, 6 harvests per year, approximately 7 million kilograms of annual production. That is enough shrimp for nearly 2 million people. 2 million people fed from a facility that occupies less than 1 square mile of coastal land that was previously considered unusable swamp. This is the hidden triumph of modern aquaculture. Not robots, not genetic modification, not futuristic fantasies, just smart engineering, rigorous biosecurity, and an almost obsessive attention to water quality. The shrimp do not know they are part of an industrial system. They only know that the water is warm, the oxygen is plentiful, and the food arrives on a predictable schedule. From their perspective, this is a perfect environment, and that is exactly why the system works. As the afternoon fades toward evening, the last pallet of today's harvest is wrapped in plastic and moved into the cold store. The temperature inside the cold store is -25 degrees Celsius. The door seals with a hydraulic clamp. The lights go out. Tomorrow, another pond will be drained. Another 120,000 shrimp will enter the flume channel. Another 20 tons of ice will be made. The rhythm of this farm is tidal, not the tide of the ocean, the tide of production. A human-made cycle that has replaced the uncertainty of wild fishing with the predictability of industrial agriculture. And yet, standing at the edge of the empty pond, watching the last drops of water evaporate from the black liner, there is something almost peaceful about it. The paddle wheel aerators on the neighboring pond continue to spin. The water surface shimmers. Somewhere beneath that surface, 80,000 shrimp are growing, unaware that in 60 days their pond will be the one draining into the harvest basin, unaware that the quiet rhythm of the aerator is counting down their 90-day clock. That is the reality of massive shrimp farming. Not cruel, not sterile, just efficient, just organized, just large enough to feed millions of people who will never see a single pond. And that is exactly how it should be, because the goal of industrial agriculture is not to be beautiful. The goal is to disappear, to make food so available, so affordable, so reliable that nobody has to think about where it came from. But for the next 28 minutes, you have seen it. You have followed the shrimp from the pond to the pallet. You have watched the harvest pump roar. You have felt the cold of the spiral freezer. You have understood the scale. And somewhere in Los Angeles or Rotterdam or Yokohama, a restaurant chef will open one of these cartons 3 weeks from now. He will see perfectly glazed, individually frozen, grade A vannamei shrimp. He will not see the workers who sorted them. He will not hear the aerators that kept them alive. He will not know the name of pond number 82. But now you do, and that changes everything.